Hello and welcome to Astrology Talk Forecast for November 2024. I am Mallory Key at MalloryKeyAstrology.com, and I'm an accredited astrologer with the American Federation of Astrologers, and I'm here to bring you the November forecast. I also thank all on the Zoom call and for Cosmic Connections in Nashville, Tennessee, and their staff, as well as my teacher, Mr. Thomas Parsons. The purpose of this platform is to bring awareness as well as inform, bring awareness and clarify astrological aspects, and offer a space for individuals to personalize these aspects by seeing how celestial bodies are interacting with natal planets and house placements in one's birth chart. And that will be more in the Astrology Talk class, which is the first the first Wednesday of each month at 7 p.m. Central Time. So the forecast is a platform to share with you this information, and then that's the last Wednesday of each month for the forecast, and then the first Wednesday of each month at 7 p.m. is the actual class to help you see where the full moon, new moon, and the major aspects that are occurring for this month. The new moon in Scorpio is what we'll be talking about, as well as briefly the election day, which is a very pivotal moment in our history and time. We also will talk about the full moon in Taurus, the Mars opposing Pluto, Mars retrograde, Pluto enters Aquarius, Mercury retrograde, and Saturn direct, all in this month with that Scorpio new moon. So we begin with this new moon that's in the sign of a very deep water of Scorpio, and it's at 9 degrees. So you want to see if there's any other placement in your chart around 6 to 12 degrees of that, of any of the signs, and knowing where and how these angles are occurring in your chart, whether it's a square, which is frustrating, tension, anxiety, if it's a nice sextile, which is a flowing energy, and so forth. So this occurs on November 1st at 7:47 a.m. in the morning, and this is filmed the day of, so we missed the time period there, but it's at 7:35 a.m. for Nashville. So this is a day, given that Scorpio energy, it's very intense, and it's time to plant seeds of intention. So get that candle out, write down ideas or things that you would love to have in your life, and speak them forth this day. And this is when the moon and the sun are together in the sign of Scorpio. The new moon is when the sun and moon are conjunct. That means you can't see the moon in the sky because it is actually so close to the sun. We call that the dark moon. And a lot of times the new moon is a place and moment where you go inside and think about what those things are that you do want. And then when there's a full moon where the sun is opposite the moon, then you want to actually leave room or create space for those intentions to come about that you planted at the time of the new moon. So the full moon is where you were releasing to allow the new to enter. The other thing that's happening with the Scorpio uh, new moon is Saturn will be in a trine while it's at 12 degrees of Pisces, which is a water sign, and it's going to be trine to the sun and the moon. And so that's a very nice, flowing, slower moving aspect, and it should offer some sort of stability to have your dreams met. So with Saturn being the structure foundation, it's also banking, it's our government, and it's also our inner agent of governing. So find out you're the governor of your life, and we have the external government in our society. So this is time to go within and to find that what is it that I really want at this time. So that is a trine position, which is 120 degrees apart. The other thing that is occurring is that we have the Pluto and Mars. So Mars is opposite of Pluto. Well, this is a very intense aspect, and it will be happening three different moments, and we'll talk about the different dates that this will occur. Mars is god of war, and Pluto is god of the underworld, and these two opposing forces is a big energy. They are both co-rulers of Scorpio, which is interesting that they fall in that placement of 29 degrees, opposing each other while they're in the sign that they co-rule. the modern ruler of Scorpio is Pluto's because we became in our, that became in our awareness and consciousness, and Mars is the past ruler or the ancient ruler of Scorpio. So we want to watch that tension and dynamic with these two opposing. And Mars is also police, military, guns. It's assertive, combative, and confrontive on one side, but then on another, it's wanting you to take action and wanting you to use your action and have the courage and bravery to do something. And Pluto is our inner world, it's our secrets, our fear, our guilt, our shame, but then it's also our more profound parts of ourselves. Now, Pluto is also sex, it's power, it's the thing that can be manipulative if not being in check. And Mars is more assertive energy, combating that deep Pluto. And so it's just a lot of tension in the sky, especially with this new moon. So if you're noticing that, keep your focus on using and harnessing this energy for the positive. Take that energy and get things done. Allow yourself to go inside and heal those places that Mars is telling you to go in and dig and allow those to be released. That past trauma or that past history you have, the guilt, shame, the fear of something, have the courage to go within and allow that to be healed and released from your life. So this is what's going on during that moon. Now we're on to the election day in the USA. Now I'm not here to pick sides on which candidate will win. I leave that to the astrologers that have forged ahead and done a lot of research on the two candidates. This is a brief, understanding of the sun and the moon and the ascendant for each chart, and also included the Mercury sign. So on election day, there's a lot happening. Y'all, I would be very cognizant. I would be very aware of, what do I need to do that day? Listening to your gut, follow your intuition. If something is blocking you from going somewhere, pay attention to that. Maybe it's actually protecting you. So on the day of the election, the sun is in Scorpio, the moon is in Capricorn. And the sun in Scorpio, we've already talked about, it's a very deep sign. And Scorpio is that more profound parts of ourselves. And so it rules the eighth house of other people's money. I didn't mention that part, but it does rule other people's money. It's the stock market. It's the things that you gain money from other sources, not just your income. So the moon in Capricorn is about, that's Scorpio is ruled by Pluto and Mars, but the moon in Capricorn, that's ruled by Saturn. So that is more of a structured earth sign, whereas Scorpio is water. So the moon in Capricorn doesn't really care to be there, but it's moon is our emotional body and it's more sensitive, and Capricorn is more common sense, reliable, dependable, the responsible planet or responsible sign, which Saturn is the responsible planet. So it is about the structure of things and it's the common sense and it gets down to the reality. So it's a little bit stark for the moon to be in there. Now, on this day of the election, the sun will trine Saturn, as we said, it's still in that trine and Saturn is still at 12 degrees. And then the sun is at the 14 degrees. So it's still an orb to be in that trine. Now, Mars will still oppose Pluto. We have the exact day of that opposition is on the 3rd of November. So this is another moment to be aware of, still an orb, to have that fiery energy. Now Mars has moved into Leo, which is the fire sign, not the water Cancer sign. And then Pluto is in the Capricorn sign at the last aneretic degree. And I do want to mention the last degree when, Mars was in Cancer, that's a very sensitive sign. Mars doesn't really care to be in Cancer because it kind of squashes its energy. Water squelches fire. So it's also, but on the other side, Mars in Cancer is a fighter for the home and fighter for the homeland. So you want to still be aware of people. This is not a moment to get triggered. I say this whole week, even prior to November 1st, this is not the time to engage people to get triggered. All right. So if you have opinions, most people have already made up their minds about the election. So this is a time for you to actually walk away, take those breaths, do some grounding work. If somebody does trigger you, you know, do something that will pause it for a moment so that you can decide how you really want to respond. Now, Venus is also opposing Jupiter on the day of the election, and Venus is love, beauty, and money, and Jupiter is the expansive planet. It's the biggest planet in our solar system, and so it wants to expand and go on, further advancement and also higher knowledge. Venus is about that security, love, money, and relationship. So we have Jupiter at 20 degrees of Gemini, and Venus is at 23 degrees of Sagittarius in opposition. So just know that there's something about money and expansion, and they're kind of at odds with each other right now. So there's some tension about our expansion and tension about the money and how our ability to feel secure. There's also Venus quincunx Uranus. That is a little bit tension and frustration. So Venus, while it's in that 23 degree of Sag, Uranus is at 25 degrees of Taurus. Now, Uranus is sudden sparks, sudden change out of the blue. It's science, technology, it's the future. It's also rebellion for the sake of freedom for all and justice for all people. It's very inclusive. So we have Venus at a 150-degree angle here with that 2-degree orb there as it's applying towards Uranus. So I'm not, it's a little edge. There's like something a little under the surface that's frustrating. You can't quite put your finger on, but it's just causing that frustration, and you're gonna have to just work with that energy and know that sudden changes might happen with our security, money, and financing and relationships as well. So just know that's underneath the low grade surface under, with that tension with those two planets. And Uranus is electricity. It just be prepared. So I've included the opposition on the graph, in the wheel here with the Mars and Pluto. You've got that Sun in Scorpio still. You've got the Jupiter opposing Venus and Saturn with that trine to the Sun. So now I want to talk about Kamala Harris's chart and on the election day. And just briefly, she is a Sun Libra. Libra is about the scales of justice. It wants to be in relationship with people. It wants that balance and harmony in life, and it wants that balance and harmony in relations with other people. So her moon is in Aries. The Aries is a fire sign, while Libra is a air sign. So the fire is an air sign, and the moon is about our emotional body and how she processes emotions. So she's going to be pretty fiery about when she gets triggered about something. She also has a Gemini ascendant, which is air, and her ascendant is that persona, it's the identity, it's the vehicle she's riding in. And it's that identity is big with the ascendant, and the true self is with the Libra sun. Now, Mercury, I did include Mercury because the candidates are both using their voice in the world and how they process information. And Mercury is our ability to speak and how we express ourselves in the world. She has a Mercury in Scorpio. Scorpio is deep, and it's the symbol of the scorpion. And so it does have that little stinger tail if she were to get backed in a corner. Now, on the day of the election, we have this, her moon is also, oh, the other thing about Kamala is that both candidates were born at a time of a full moon. So her moon is in that Aries sign and her sun is in the Libra sign, and they're both at 27 degrees. The chart of Donald Trump. Trump is a Sun Gemini. That's the communication sign. And his moon is in Sagittarius, which is the centaur, the sign of truth. And Leo is the lion. That's his ascendant. And it's at 29 degrees. If we are correct on these times, which this is the most popular one, Leo ascendant is it ruled. So his sun is, his whole chart's ruled by the sun. And Kamala Harris's chart is ruled by Mercury. That's the communication planet. But the sun is the center of our solar system, and that's a powerful ascendant. So now, as I said before, both candidates were born at the time of the full moon. So his full moon, the 22 degrees of Gemini allows for the moon to be at 21 degrees of Sagittarius. And so it's just right, not quite the exact degree. That Mercury in Cancer also is a water sign. It's very sensitive, and it's Cancer is about the home, and it's the symbol of the crab. So his way of processing is going to be the protector. So now we're into the full moon. The full moon will be on November 15th, 2024, and it's at 3:28 p.m. Central Daylight Time. So adjust these times that I'm giving you for your time zone. Now, for Nashville, it's at 3:16 p.m. and for those of you and where I live. So on the full moon, we have the Scorpio sun opposed, with the moon in the opposite sign of Taurus. Now, this is going to be conjunct the uh, Uranus here. So they have, Uranus and the sun in opposition to each other with the moon opposite the sun as well. So this is kind of a dynamic moment. And Taurus is about, that's it rules, well, the symbol is the bull, but it's an earth sign. So it's very much, grounding, and it's also more methodical. It's also money because it's ruled by Venus, which is love, beauty, money, and security. So there could be something, disruptive about our financial system. And I would also, say cybersecurity as well. And it could be sudden, out of the blue changes around the earth. So, because this is an illuminary with the moon, the secondary illuminary, and then the sun is our main source of light. So, this is going to be catapulting some energy near that Uranus point in Taurus. So, I'd be watching for land, changes sudden out of the blue you didn't see coming. Now, I do want to move on to Mars and Pluto. This is something that is going to be very, tension and frustration when you have the god of war, opposing the god of the underworld. So the first time this happens is November 3rd, 2024, and that's when it's at that exact degree. And this is a very powerful moment because a 29 degrees is an aneretic point, meaning it hasn't gone into the next sign yet. It's building up to that tension before it's released into the next sign, which Mars will be going into Leo, and then Pluto will be going into the sign of Aquarius, which is what we're heading into for a 20-year period with Pluto finally full-time in the sign of Aquarius. The next time it happens is January 3rd. And last, the third part of this, Mars Pluto opposition is April 26, 2025. And they're both obviously still in the same signs of Leo and Aquarius from the second one. And this is now 3 degrees. So just be aware, use your higher senses, and find out where you need to be and follow your path and what you need to do with your inner world as well as the outer world, and taking a lot of self-care. Now, Mars in Leo will begin its retrograde. So we're going to talk about the retrograde motion of Mars. That's going from Cancer into Leo, and then it's going to backtrack from Leo going back into Cancer, the water sign. So Mars would much rather be in a fire sign than a water sign, as we said before. It begins the retrograde motion December 5th, 2024, and it re-enters Cancer January 6th, 2025. So just be aware of where that is in your chart to know when Mars goes, in its motion, what appears to be going backwards. So it does change the degree going backwards. So you want to find that placement in your chart of where that motion is going, because Mars is our energy. Mars gets us to clean the house, and, it gets us moving and going, or it gets us, going for that application for the job, or, I'm going to be assertive. I'm going to, not let people run me over. And when it's going backwards, we have to reevaluate, revisit, and revise how we're taking action in our lives. So we have the Pluto stepping into Aquarius full time now on November 19th, 2024, this month, another big moment this month. So it's at 2:39 p.m. Central Standard Time. So just notice what shifts, like this is, we're going in from a earth sign of government, societal structures, foundation, it's responsibility, it's also, Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, and it's about banking. So we have our government crumbling before our eyes when Pluto went right back in there, and it's just been very intense over the last 19 years or almost 20 having Pluto and Capricorn. Now it's going to be full time with this air sign of technology. It's the humanitarian, it's space travel, it's going to the future. It wants to feed everyone. It wants to have everyone included. And it's more of instead of a hierarchical government, it's more circular. It's opening the arms for more, everyone is included type of feel. So this patriarchal kind of, way of doing government is now going to shift into another realm of Aquarian energy, and it is definitely different. So, we just want to be prepared that AI and the technology of cars and air travel is going to be catapulted into another realm. So, you have to open your minds to know that yes, in everything there's a shadow. Yes, it's fearful. Yes, we don't understand the robotics and AI and our bodies being hooked up to maybe or having more medical, chips in our bodies to help regulate. We are all in this. This is a very, it can be very fearful and you have reason for it. And yet there's a lot of technology that could be available to help people. And help humanity and help solve problems that, from water to food to the oceans, to come up with solutions that we haven't thought of before. And also in travel. So, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, which is about airplanes. So just be prepared for some really way out ideas, really way out of maneuvering and traveling on our planet. So, and a whole new of AI and technology that you have to keep looking at the positive because there's no way to stop this train going into Aquarius. It's coming and it's a revolutionary time. Mercury is the next part I want to mention is that it will also go retrograde this month on November 25th, and that's about 3 weeks of, Mercury going retrograde. That means revisit, review, revise on things about Mercury, which is about messages, communication, technology on communicating through technology. It's about phones. It's also about short distance travel. So be aware of things slowing down or things, on the roads if or things not working the way that you flow. And then some of you with Mercury retrograde that you were born with, sometimes it flows nicely for you. Other people notice, weird the things going on with the gadgets, the computer, there's just like something down with the technology sometimes. So just be aware this is time to go in and take care of yourself. Take that time to look at documents, take that time to read the small print. Don't just say yes without knowing what you're saying yes to with a retrograde motion of Mercury. All right, so that was in it. Now, let's see, I didn't show that was a 22 degrees when it starts its retrograde motion for Mercury. Now, another thing I do want to say is Saturn goes direct. Saturn, I wanted to mention that because Pluto is coming in from Saturn's sign of Capricorn going into Aquarius. Well, Saturn is going to start going direct, and that's November 15th at 12 degrees of Pisces. So, I hope you enjoyed this and I hope that it was informative in ways that helps you for this November. This is a big month. Take care of yourselves and join us for Astrology Talk. This is a monthly 45-minute class where this is a shorter part on the last Wednesday of the month. But the first Wednesday of the month, I'm really going to help you locate where these aspects are happening in your personal chart so that you know the department of life that's energized with this, full moon, new moon, Mercury going retrograde. What house is it in? Is it money? Is it relationship? Is it home? Is it job? So we will look at more specifically for you to understand that yourself. So I hope you see that. Hope you join us. Go to MalloryKeyAstrology.com, look up the Astrology Talks, and sign up. And thank you, Cosmic Connections, for having that link for us. I appreciate you being here. Thank you very much, and stay safe and be aware in November. Bye-bye.